I'm P.N. Malleshwari and I'm going to give a lecture on digital signal processing. In our syllabus, we have 5 course objectives. Let us see about those things. First one is analyze the discrete time signals and compute different FFT algorithms, and second one is learn the FIR and IR filter design, and next one is multi-rate signal processing, and last one understand the basics of DSP processors. And coming to our chapter 1, it describes the introduction, digital signal processing and its applications and its advantages and disadvantages, and LTI system, and solution of difference equation using different methods, and review of jet transforms. Similarly, solution of difference equation using jet transform. We'll discuss all those things in first chapter. And let us see about the current session. It describes the introduction part and principles of DSP, advantages, disadvantages, and applications, as well as the classification of signals and systems. And what is meant by signal? It is a physical quantity that varies with time, space, or any other independent variable. For example, let us see about the signal. This is sinusoidal signal, okay, which is represented in terms of sin omega t. So this sinusoidal signal is varying with time t, okay. And what is meant by system? It is a physical device that performs an operation on a signal. So by using this system, it processes the data. Input is signal as well as output is also signal. And let us see about the signal processing. What is meant by signal processing? It is any operation that changes the characteristics of the signal. Characteristics means either phase, amplitude, or shape or frequency of the signal. And in general, we have two types of signal processing techniques. One is analog signal processing and another one is digital signal processing. And let us say about the analog signal processor. So here analog signal processor processes the analog signal and produces the analog output, but in digital signal processor it processes the analog data and it converts it into digital. After some manipulations, it produces the analog output. So here analog input is coming from transducer or any other device, and after getting that input, it is given to anti-aliasing filter. Anti-aliasing filter acts as a low pass filter. Okay, it allows only low frequencies which are below the cutoff frequency. Then after using this anti-aliasing filter, that filter produces the data to the sample and hold circuit. The sample and hold circuit provides an input to A to D converter. This analog to digital converter converts the analog data into digital. Then it process the data using various DSP processors like TMS 320, CE54X processor, DSP 21000 processor. Different processors are available. After processing the data in digital form, that can be converted into analog data using digital to analog converter. Then it is given to reconstruction filter to get the smoothed signal. So final outcome is analog output. So here whenever we are getting the data from D to A converter, it gives the data like distorted form like this. After using reconstruction filter, we can get the smoothed signal. Okay, so in this manner processing may be done. And let us see about the classification of signals. Let us see about the advantages and applications of DSP. So first one, it has greater accuracy and it is cheaper, and we can easily store the data on magnetic disks, and implementation of sophisticated algorithms, and flexibility in configuration. For example, if there may be any failure in the system, simply we can modify the filter coefficients. Okay, no need to change the entire no need to change the entire structure, okay, or entire thing. And next one is DSP is applicable in very low frequency signals like seismic signals. We can easily process the seismic signal using DSP, digital signal processor, and by using time sharing concept we can share the data parallelly. Okay, so all these are the advantages of DSP, and let us see the limitations of DSP. First one is system complexity. In this processor, analog to digital converter, digital to analog converters are used. That's why system complexity is increased. And next one, bandwidth limited by sampling rate. If the sampling frequency should be greater than or equal to twice of the maximum signal frequency, like fs greater than or equal to 2fm, then only we can reconstruct the signal without aliasing effect. Okay, if fs less than 2fm, distortion occur, overlapping occur. Okay, so here we have to maintain this condition, fs greater than or equal to 2fm condition, and in that manner that sampling rate is limited by bandwidth. Bandwidth is limited by sampling rate. And power consumption. In this processor, lakhs of transistors are used. It consumes more power. So this is one of the limitations. And let us see about the applications of DSP. DSP is widely used in telecommunication like modulator and demodulator, okay, and cellular networks, okay. And the next one, consumer electronics like electronic music synthesizers, FM radios will use this DSP, and instrumentation and control. Similarly, image processing techniques. Image processing means like image enhancement, image reconstruction, okay, image restoration, image segmentation. In all those applications will use DSP. And next, medicine. Medicine means like in CT scan images, okay, MRI scan images, this DSP may be used. And speech processing like speech synthesis, speaker recognition, speech recognition, in all those applications will use DSP. And seismology, it is widely used in seismic applications, especially in navigation purpose, okay, radar and sonar also, means that belongs to military application, okay. Seismology to detect the earthquake, some processors may be used. And military applications means especially in radar and sonar applications, radio detection and ranging, okay, sound navigation and ranging will use this DSP. And let us see about the classification of discrete time signals. Before that, let us see how to represent the signal. Signal may be represented in various ways like graphical representation, functional representation, tabular representation and sequence representation. And let us see about one by one. So here signal is represented in the form of a graph. So here n indicates the time index, and this one indicates the amplitude of this particular sample. For n equal to 0 some amplitude, n equal to 1 some amplitude. So this signal is represented in the form of a graph. And let us see about the functional representation. Signal is represented in the form of a function like x of n equal to 2, okay, na, for n equal to 1, 3, 5. Similarly, x of n equal to 1 for n equal to -1, -2 and so on. So here signal is represented in the form of a function. And similarly, next one is sequence representation. Signal is represented in the form of a sequence like x of n equal to -1, -1, 3, 1, 0, 4, 2. It is represented in the form of a sequence, and here arrow mark indicates origin, means starting, origin means 0th position value. So here this is origin, okay, 0th position means x of 0 sample, towards left hand side x of -1, okay, x of minus 2, next x of minus 3. So this is the starting position of this particular sequence. X of minus 3 is the starting sample. Okay, now similarly towards right hand side, this is x of 1 and this is x of 2 and so on. So origin is represented with the arrow mark. Okay, and tabular representation. Tabular representation means, see, signal is represented in the form of a table for n equal to minus 2 some value, okay, n equal to minus 1 some value, n equal to 0 some value. So this is represented in the form of a table. So we can represent the discrete time sequence in 4 ways. And let us see about elementary signals. Already discussed in signals and systems. Anyway, we'll recall that one. So elementary signals means like unit sample signal. How to represent that? Unit sample signal is represented with delta of n, that equal to 1 for n equal to 0, that equal to 0 for n is not equal to 0. Means its amplitude equal to just 1 for n equal to 0. And n equal to 1, n equal to 2 and so on, value is 0. And delayed form of the unit impulse is given by delta of n minus k, where this function exists at delta of n minus k equal to 1, okay na, where n minus k is 0 means n equal to k. N equal to k means simply will get del of 0, that value is 1. If n is not equal to k, that value is 0. Okay, and delayed impulse is represented by del of n minus k. And next one is unit step sequence. How to represent unit step sequence? U of n equal to 1 for positive values of n and that equal to 0 for negative values of n. Already see represented in this graph. For n equal to 0, value 1. For n equal to 1, value 1. n equal to value 1. For n equal to minus 1, value 0. Okay, for n equal to minus 2, value 0 and so on. So this is the unit step sequence. And delayed form of the unit step sequence is given by u of n minus k, that equal to 1 for n minus k greater than or equal to 0, means n greater than or equal to k. For n less than k, value becomes 0, means u of 0 equal to 1, u of 1 equal to 1 and so on up to u of infinity equal to 1. u of minus 1, u of minus 2 and so on equal to 0. Okay, so that is the concept of unit step sequence. And let us see about the ramp signal. Ramp signal is given by r of n, that equal to n for positive values of n and that equal to 0 for negative values of n, means r of 0 is 1, r of 1 is 1, r of 2 is 2 and so on. So this is positively increasing or linearly increasing curve. Okay, and delayed form of the ramp signal is given by r of n minus k, that equal to n minus k for n minus k should be greater than or equal to 0, means n value greater than or equal to k. So delayed ramp sequence is represented by r of n minus k. And exponential sequence is given by x of n equal to a power n for all values of n, where a value lies between 0 and 1. So x of n equal to a power n means, let us see how to plot that curve. See, for example, a is maybe 1 by 2. Okay, a is 1 by 2. So 1 by 2 power n. For n equal to 0, x of 0 means 1 by 2 power 0. That value is 1. Okay, for n equal to 1, n equal to 1, 1 by 2 power 1, that is 0.5. Next, n equal to 2, 1 by 2 whole square means 0.25. So that is exponentially decreasing. That value is exponentially decreasing. And let us see about the next one, sinusoidal signal. Sinusoidal signal is represented with x of n equal to a into sin omega naught n for all values of n. Okay, and Let us see about the classification of discrete time signals. Discrete time signals can be classified into causal and non-causal, periodic and non-periodic, and symmetric and anti-symmetric, energy or power signal. Let us see about one by one with the examples. And what is meant by causal signal? See, a signal x of n is said to be causal if x of n equal to 0 for n less than 0. For n less than 0 means for negative values of n there is no signal. For positive values of n we have signal. Okay. Best examples for causal signal is x of n equal to u a power n into u of n. When u of n includes, that signal must be causal because u of n exists for positive values of n. And another example, see, x of n equal to 1, 2, 1, 2. Here arrow mark is indicated. Okay, now this is 0th sample, means x of 0, x of 1, x of 2 and x of 3. So here arrow mark indicates origin. Okay, these are all positive values of n. Okay, and this is the best example for causal signal. And non-causal means signal exists for negative values of n also. For example, a power n into u of minus n minus 1. See, u of minus n minus 1 exists for minus n minus 1 greater than or equal to 0. Means minus of n plus 1 greater than or equal to 0. N plus 1 less than or equal to 0 means n less than or equal to minus 1. For negative values of n signal exists. That's why it is non-causal. And one more example, look at this one. Here this is x of 0, towards left hand side x of minus 1, towards right hand side x of 1, x of 2. So this is non-causal because negative values of n we have one value. Okay. So these are the examples. And let us see about the next classification, symmetric and anti-symmetric. When the signal is symmetry signal or even signal, let us see about the condition. If x of minus n equal to x of n, then that signal is an even signal. And x of minus n equal to minus x of n, then that signal is an odd signal. Okay. If we consider any signal that is the combination of both even and odd signal, both the even and odd signal, and the best example for even signal is cosine signal, best example for odd signal is sinusoidal signal. And let us see how to obtain the even and odd components of the given signal x of n. So if we consider any signal in nature that is the combination of even and odd, for example take some numbers 1 to 10. Okay, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 are even odd numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 are even numbers. So if we consider any signal that is the combination of both even and odd, and let us see how to resolve the given signal in terms of even and odd. So x of n is the virginal signal, that equal to xe of n plus x naught of n, and let n equal to minus n in this equation, then we will get xe of minus n plus x naught of minus n. For an even signal, xe of minus n equal to xe of n. For an odd signal, x naught of minus n equal to minus x naught of n. Now, by solving 1 and 2 equations, simply we will get the even component and odd component. First, add 1 and 2, then we will get xe of n equal to x of n plus x of minus n by 2. Odd component, just subtract 1 and 2, then we will get x naught of n equal to x of n minus x of minus n by 2. So you have to remember these two equations to get the even component as well as the odd component. Problems will be given on this topic. And let us see about the next classification, very important, periodic and non-periodic. When the signal is said to be periodic, if x of n equal to x of n plus capital N, then the signal is said to be periodic signal. Okay, here capital N indicates the fundamental time period. Fundamental time period capital N equal to 2 pi by omega into one integer. So here we have to find the fundamental time period. Okay, to make this capital N as an integer, we have to choose the value of small m. Means for what value of small m, capital N becomes an integer. So in that manner we have to choose small m to make capital N as an integer. And here see in this example, this is one signal. So here we have 4 samples. For n equal to minus 4, amplitude 4, n equal to minus 3, amplitude 3, n equal to minus 2, amplitude 2, n equal to minus 1, amplitude 1. For every 4 seconds, the same pattern is repeated. So this is the example of periodic signal. But here first we have 4 samples, next some 3 samples, next again 3. There is no similarity between this set and this set. So this is the example of non-periodic or aperiodic signal. So here periodic signal repeats for every certain time period. Okay, and here how to calculate the fundamental time period? See, our fundamental time period n equal to 2 pi by omega naught into one integer value m. Okay, and our given frequency is 6 pi by 13. Okay, just you can substitute that value in this equation, then we'll get 2 pi by 6 pi by 13 into integer value. So simply our answer is 13 by 3 into integer value small m. Okay, so here we have to choose the smallest value of m to make capital N as an integer. Means for example m equal to 1, that n value becomes 13 by 3, not an integer. Similarly, if m equal to 2, n equal to 13 by 3 into 2, not an integer. If m equal to 3, simply 13 by 3 into 3, that is 13. So if m equal to 3, this value is an integer value. Okay, and let us see about one more example. When the sum of two signals is said to be periodic, if n1 by n2 means n1 is the first signal period, n2 is the second signal period. If n1 by n2 is a ratio of two integers or rational number, then the sum of two signals is said to be periodic. If n1 by n2 must be a rational number or ratio of two integers, then the sum of two signals is said to be periodic, otherwise non-periodic. Okay, now let us see how to solve one example. See, in this example, the given signal is x of n equal to cos pi by 3n plus cos 3 pi by 4n. So in this one, take the first signal cos pi by 3n. So it is in the form of cos omega naught n. So our omega 1 or omega naught equal to pi by 3. In second signal, omega 2 is 3 pi by 4. Okay, 3 pi by 4. Let us see about n1 and n2. So 2 pi by omega 1 into one integer value. 2 pi by omega 1 is pi by 3 into integer value. Pi cancelled. This is 6m. Okay, and in this case n2 equal to 2 pi by omega 2, that is 3 pi by 4 into one integer value. So pi cancel, simply its value is 8 by 3 into n. Here we have to choose the smallest value of m as well as n. So here m equal to 1, our time period n1 becomes 6. Okay, 6 is integer. Next, in second case, see, if n equal to small n equal to 3, simply we'll get simply we'll get n2 as 8. So take n1 by n2. n1 by n2 is 6 by 8. That is ratio of 2 integers. Okay, ratio of 2 integers. That's why this signal is a periodic signal. In that manner we have to check whether the periodic signal is, whether the signal is periodic or non-periodic. And let us see about the last classification, energy and power signal. When the signal is said to be energy signal, if the energy of the signal is finite, means simply E is finite and power is 0, then the signal is an energy signal. If energy is infinite and power is finite, then the signal is a power signal. If both are infinite, then the signal is neither energy nor a power signal. So to check whether the signal is an energy or power, simply you can find its energy as well as power. How to calculate the energy of the given signal? Energy of the signal is given by summation of n equal to minus infinity to infinity x of modulus of x of n whole square. This is the general formula for energy. Energy is nothing but it is the ability to do some work. Power is nothing but energy divided by time period. Okay, so by using this formula you can find the energy. And how to calculate the average power? Average power equal to limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1 summation of n equal to minus n to n modulus of x of n whole square. Okay, so by using these two formulas we can find the energy as well as power, and based on the conditions, like three conditions. If E is finite and power 0, then the signal is an energy signal. If E is infinite and power finite, then the signal is a power signal. And if both are infinite, then the signal is neither energy nor a power signal. Okay, so based on those three conditions we can decide whether the signal is an energy signal or power signal or neither energy nor a power signal. Okay, and let us see about one example. I want to explain one small example. Okay, say x of n equal to 1 by 3 power n u of n. Okay, what is the general formula for energy? Summation of n equal to minus infinity to infinity modulus of x of n whole square. Our x of n is modulus of 1 by 3 power n. Okay, so simply you can substitute that value. And how to simplify this one? Summation of n equal to minus infinity to infinity can be split into two parts. One is minus infinity to minus 1 and another one is 0 to infinity. Means all negative values, all positive values. Okay, here u of n is also given. So for negative values of n, u of n becomes 0. That's why simply I am writing 0. For positive values of n, u of n is 1. That's why I am writing 1 by 3 power n whole square only. So first term becomes 0 and the rest of the term is summation of n equal to 0 to infinity 1 by 3 power n whole square means 1 by 9 power n. So it is in the form of n equal to 0 to infinity a power n, whose value is 1 by 1 minus a if a value less than 1. So a is 1 by 9, 1 by 3, that is less than 1. So simply we can write 1 by 1 minus 1 by 9 means our answer is 1 by 8 by 9 means 9 by 8. So that is finite value. E is finite. And let us see about the power of the signal. How to calculate the power? Power P equal to, this is the formula, limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1 summation of n equal to minus n to n modulus of x of n whole square. And here power, see how to calculate the power? P equal to limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1. So here 1 by 2n plus 1 means period. In continuous domain simply we'll take the period is upper limit minus lower limit, that is 2t seconds. But in discrete domain, upper limit minus lower limit plus 1 term, total 2n plus 1 terms are there in the expansion. That's why we are taking 1 by period 2n plus 1. Summation of n equal to minus n to n modulus of x of n whole square. Minus n to n can be split into minus n to minus 1. Similarly, n equal to 0 to capital N. So, between this interval u of n 0, that's why first term becomes 0. And between this interval, we have only u of n equal to 1. That's why simply we'll write limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1 summation of n equal 0 to n 1 by 3 power n whole square means 1 by 9 power n. And how to expand this one? See how to expand this one? Limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1 summation of n equal 0 to n a power n equal to 1 minus a power n plus 1 by 1 minus a. If a value less than 1, our a is 1 by 9 now, means 1 by 3 whole square, that is 1 by 9. Simply we will use this formula. Okay, limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1. Okay, 1 minus 1 by 9 power n plus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 9. Simply see, you can substitute limit n tends to infinity. Limit n tends to infinity means how to simplify this one? See, 1 by 2n plus 1, 1 minus 1 by 9 power infinity by 1 minus 1 by 9. 1 by 9 means 9 power infinity, 9 power minus infinity. Something power minus infinity is 0. Okay, for example 3 power minus infinity, 0. So, this value becomes 0 and this is 1. So, limit n tends to infinity 1 by 2n plus 1, this value 1 by 8 by 9 and n tends to infinity 1 by infinity into something, simply 0. So, here power 0, energy finite. So, the signal is an energy signal. In that manner, we have to check whether the given signal is energy or power or neither energy nor a power signal.